Hello and welcome to the Spirit of 76 Museum. I'm Becky Norton, one of the trustees here at the museum, and we're with Jenny Arntz, who is the director of Main Street Wellington and the videographer for our videos. Today we have moved up to our second floor and we are in the military area. And what we tried to do was to go from Civil War, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, and so on. And some things have gotten a little jumbled up, but what we're going to do today is to focus on our World War II wall, which is back here. And our guest today is Gordon Greene, who happens to be my favorite uncle, but don't tell anybody that. And he's going to talk a little bit about his war experiences. And I also wanted to show, if Jenny can see them, these are Uncle Gordon's service pictures. I think he looks pretty spiffy in this one. That's my favorite.
Wow. Oh, got a little glare. There we go. Very nice.
Long time ago.
Do you still have your uniform?
Pardon?
Do you still have your
Yes,
uniform?
I give it to my daughter. She has it on a, what do you call
A
it?
mannequin?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she has a nice little setup for World War.
I'm going to have to talk to her and see if she'll donate it to the museum.
Yeah.
Yeah, she might.
You know?
Yeah.
Because Uncle Gordon's father, my grandfather, donated a lot of things to the museum back when it was first opened.
Yes.
So maybe we can talk Pat into doing that.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm one of her favorite cousins. So Uncle Gordon, how old were you when you went into the service?
How old was I? 20.
20?
I think.
Were
Let's
you?
see. Yeah, I was 20.
You were 20. And were you and Aunt Hillary married yet?
No.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Yeah, we'll get started here pretty quick. Yes, we were married.
You were married, but not very long, probably.
Right. 1 month.
1 month.
Oh, wow.
They always told me that I was a farmer and I probably wouldn't ever go.
Uh-huh.
Huh.
And of course, your dad had been sick, and so they knew he wasn't going to go. Well, finally, my sister Virginia was home, and their son got appendicitis, and it broke.
Oh.
So he was very sick in the hospital, and
Yeah.
so they knew they were going to be here for a while. And she said, Gordon, if you're going to get married before too long, why don't you do it while we're home? The gas is hard to get, and we're here, and we take care of it. So,
And Virginia was always very practical.
yeah, that's right. Yes. Yeah, we could tell stories about her.
Well, we digress.
Yeah. So we decided to get married. We went over, and her dad and mother were out in the barn milking cows, and we said we're going to get married next Saturday. And her mother said, "No, you're not. I can't get ready that quick." And so her dad says, "Oh, yes, we can." So we got married there at home, at their home, and then we moved into our home, which was Freeman's, Greene's originally. And we were there a month, and I got this nice letter from the president.
Oh,
Said,
no.
"Greetings.
Oh, no.
You have been chosen." So we had just a month at home, and I went to Cleveland, and then took the train and went to Fort Benjamin Harrison, Indiana, to be sworn in and be a part of the Army. So we were there, let's see, 2 or 3 days, and then they put us on a train. We had no idea where we were going, but we ended up in Florida on July 4th.
Oh, wow.
Raining, oh, it was pouring. They threw our bags right out on the ground. They didn't care. So anyway, we got in camp there, and one of the first times they assembled us, when the guy got done chewing us out a little, he said, "How many want to be in the Air Corps?" Well, he said, "Take one step forward." So they always told me when I went to service, just keep your bowels open and don't volunteer for anything. So I didn't volunteer, but a lot of the other guys stepped up. They wanted to be in the Air Corps. So he said, okay, you guys that didn't step up can go back to your barracks, and the rest of you, we're going to go out here and do some dive bombing, picking up cigarette butts.
Oh, wow.
So I was glad I didn't have to go do that.
Now, what year was that?
That was 1944.
44. So you were in on the tail end then of the war.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes. And in fact, when we finally got assigned to our training down in Florida, to our companies, pardon me, I was assigned to, I was going to be a bugler.
Okay.
So it wasn't long, they decided they didn't need buglers very bad. They needed heavy equipment, so I got into a tank outfit. And trained down there hot, oh my, it was hot. And of course I'd grown up on the farm where it was hot, baling hay and all that stuff. So I got along pretty good, but the city boys that never been out in the heat too much, they always had, they called it the meat wagon behind us to pick up the guys. We did a lot of marching, a lot of running, and finally we went on bivouac and had a not a tornado,
Hurricane.
Down in Florida. So we had to all dig holes to our foxhole to get down in, so if a tree went past us, so we wouldn't get hit. And of course it filled right up with water, so it didn't amount to much. But anyway, we got through that fine, and one day Becky, of course, knew my wife, and once in a while she'd get me in a little trouble.
She was a little spitfire.
Yeah. And first time she was walking around somewhere she shouldn't have been. So they called me, I was in the shower, and they called me to come to the office, and I went in. I said, what are you doing here? Well, they brought me in here. I said, what's the matter? What'd you do? Well, I was out there where I shouldn't have been. So that was one of the first times that she got in a little trouble. But then she and her friend was 19, and she was head of the, what do they call them? I don't know. Where,
The
The canteen?
no, where the volunteers slept.
Oh, okay, like the barrack, or not the
Yeah,
barracks,
yeah, it was
but
the same as the barrack.
dormitory.
Dormitory, yeah. So they could stay there 2 nights, I think, and see their family before they had to kick them out. So they were riding around, had an old 36 Ford, and they were riding around one day, and I don't know where they got to, but anyway, they got too close to the firing range and took the front windshield out.
Oh my gosh.
We all got talked to about that. And of course, they paid for the windshield. They had to go to Jacksonville to get the windshield.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, after our bivouac was over, we were out there a week. Then we had to march all night back into camp after we'd been awake all day.
Yeah.
And pretty easy. Never thought I could sleep walking, but we had to watch each other. We kept walking off the side of the road. And by the time we got to the gate, we was pretty tired. But they had a band for us. And boy, well, I'll tell you, when the band started playing, we shaped up like soldiers. So then, of course, we slept all day, and they come in and pick our feet up to make sure we didn't have blisters. Then they give us a what do you call, pass. So we could go to town and get something good to eat and nice place to sleep.
So how long was it before you were shipped over?
That was in July, and I got shipped over in January.
Okay. You sent an honorary home, didn't you?
Oh yeah, she stayed there and worked in a dental clinic. And the friend that got her windshield kicked out, or knocked out, she stayed where she was at over there taking care of people. And of course we were friends, and they had a car and we didn't. So she of course she made more money than I did by far. So I told her, I said, if you don't get a job on camp, you're not going to stay in any of these little boom towns. So we every time we had a pass to go on a weekend, she had enough money, we had shrimp. That's where we learned to eat a lot of shrimp.
So what was it like going over to Europe then?
Well, the first 2 days out, that was pretty nice. We thank goodness I was in a small outfit, so we got the officers' quarters,
Yeah.
and they were very nice. Of course, there's 4 of us in a bunk, but we had portholes we could see out. And of course, they told us don't get too close to that rail because if you fall over, we don't stop. You might as well know that right away. So if you want to throw up, just carry your canteen or your helmet with you, your helmet liner, and throw up on that. And so I went down in the hold just once to get something. I don't know what it was, but if I'd have been down there, I'm not sure I'd have made it across. I think back now, that's where we ought to put some of these guys that are rioting and tearing things apart. Put them down there and take them out. But anyway, on the way over, the first 2 days were nice. After that, oh my, it got so rough that old ship would turn over like that. And it'd go back like that. We could
Makes
look out
me
the porthole.
seasick just to think about it.
Oh, it was terrible, terrible. And if we went down to eat, everything would slide right off the counter where we had our food. But after about 3 days of that, and of course we'd look over, we were in a convoy. I forget, there were probably 15, 20 ships of different things. And the tankers, they're kind of flat. They go in a wave and come out the other side.
Oh, wow.
That was that bad. The screws even come out, the propellers. We went over so far that they come out. Little ships, we thought we got hit with a torpedo.
Wow, yeah.
Scared the heck out of us. So that was quite an exciting trip.
Yeah.
And of course, then we got in Lamar, what is it? Anyway, France. And got off, and it was icy, cold. We'd been on that nice warm ship. Oh man, it was terrible. And of course, the doggone French people, they stood along watching us and laughing because we fall down once in a while. And of course, then we got on boxcars, not passenger cars, boxcars. No heat, no nothing. We're on it for 5 nights and 4 days.
Wow.
And it was miserable. We tried to build a fire on the floor. The smoke got so bad we couldn't stand that, so we had to put that out. And any food we got was all frozen.
Oh, wow.
And finally we got to, I think it was Metz, France, and then we got in a barracks. But there was no heat in it. It was still cold. But at least we had a bunk to sleep in.
Right.
And so that from then on, we had to be assigned to our Army unit, and I was assigned to 9th Armored, and they were pretty well, most of them had either passed away or prisoners of war after the Battle of the Bulge. I just missed the Battle of the Bulge. And so then we had to take training because, like I said, you're supposed to train as a bugler. But anyway, the first time they got us in formation, the big old sergeant, he was giving us orders, and he says, how many of you ever drove a tank? Nobody said anything. He said, you mean you guys didn't take training in a tank? No. Where'd you train? Camp Blanding, Florida. Well, that's not a tank outfit. I said, no. We were just trained as soldiers. So anyway, he threw his old helmet on the ground. He was so upset. So we had to train for a month. And it was muddy, and we had a nice barn. It was air conditioned. Not much sighting on it.
No.
And it was cold in there, but we made our what do you call them? Bedrolls. We put all the blankets we could find in there, so we kept fairly warm.
So did you end up being in the tank?
Thank goodness I was in a half track.
Good.
I had a half track with a mortar in it and a 50 caliber machine gun that went all the way around the top of it.
Mm.
But I was thankful I didn't have to be in
Yeah.
a tank. I didn't really like a tank.
Yeah. Can you tell us about one or two experiences that you had?
You mean with
Well, just while you were over in Europe.
Well, we started after we got done training. Took a month. We went to Belgium, and then we went across to Aachen, I think was the name of Germany, and that's where we started going. And let's see, what'd you ask me?
I just wondered if you had any experiences that really stuck out in your mind while you were there.
Well, we moved fast. You know, like you said, the war was getting, the guys, they didn't want to fight too bad, the Germans. They were, the only ones that really wanted to fight were the Nazis. Had training into that, but the regular soldier, they were ready to give up. So they did have one time at the Remagen Bridge. We took that. I wasn't there where the bridge was. I was back a little further. And I ended up going, it fell down before I got across. Of course, that was a big thing to catch that. It got a lot of stuff across before it fell in. And of course, they were trying to blast it all the time, and our guys were trying to keep them away from it. But I went across that on a pontoon. So, and then a little funny thing, they got into the grape wine. Make a lot of wine right there along the Rhine. The Rhine River is beautiful. And in the daytime, after things quieted down a little, I forget how long we were there, but it was beautiful. And we didn't have time to fish, so we took TNT and drop it down. That knocked the fish out, and we just go along and pick them up, and we had fish for dinner. So, but anyway, they decided to put one drunk with a sober guy. So the drunk I had, he found a landmine the first thing. So it wasn't landmine, but he thought it was. So he was digging that up. He dug him for the 2 hours we were on duty, and I just sat there and watched him dig. So, other than that, then we, I'll tell you a little funny thing, kinda. We were getting ready to go on a big march. If we were with Patton, you knew you were with Patton because you didn't stop to eat or nothing, just drive. He didn't care whether you got ahead of the Germans and they were behind you or what. But anyway, we got in this old man in the field getting ready to go on a drive, and all you could see was tanks and half tracks. Well, the next morning, my buddy and I, we got up, and of course, first thing you do, we want to go to the bathroom. Well, we looked around, there was an old barn over there, so we said, we'll go to that barn. So we walked in the barn, the door shut, and I looked around, and I said, I think we better get out of here. All I can see is eyes over there. And so we backed out of the barn and told, we didn't even have a weapon with us. So we backed out of the barn and hollered to the guys that were close and had some rifles and stuff. So they didn't want to fight. They were ready to give up. So they became prisoners of war very quick.
And you lucked out. And
we walked out. Yeah, we were lucky. Yeah. But then we went on this drive and we went by the edge of Limburg, Germany. And I don't know how big a city it was, but it was flat. There was nothing left of Limburg. They just bombed it flat. And I thought, what a waste to do, you know. Germany was a beautiful country. It really was. Everything was nice. Of course, people treated us pretty good when we had to camp or stay all night somewhere. If we had clothes that needed pressing or torn, normally the woman would take it and fix it up for us, give us apples and bread. They used to have homemade bread, and that was good. So, but we went on this big drive then, and that's when we got that's when we got to the Remagen Bridge. And it was still intact. And yeah, a little story about the guy, I can't remember his name now. But anyway, the first guy across the bridge lived in Toledo. And after he got home, many years later, his wife got sick and was in the hospital. And of course, I don't know how old he was, but he was getting old, like me. But anyway, he got killed on that bridge. He had a bridge going to the hospital, and he got, and it was ironic that he first went across that big bridge over there and didn't get shot or anything, and get killed on this one.
So how long were you in Europe then?
I was only there from January till August, the end of August.
Okay.
We marched right. We went pretty much straight across Germany.
So did you have a hard time when you got home? Did you kind of feel out of place, or were you just glad that you made it home?
I was glad to be home. I didn't feel out of place. No.
Good.
We got when we come back. It was just smooth as that glass. Oh, it was a wonderful ride coming back.
Great.
And they had the best food in the world. That's one thing the sailors always had was good food. We didn't always have. We ate a lot of sea rations out of cans. And, but we made it dark. We were headed right for Berlin, and I can't think of the Leipzig, I think. When we got there, they decided that politics was back then. They had another outfit that wanted to meet the Russians. So they sent us down to Czechoslovakia. And we were down there that's where the war ended. And it ended on May 7th, my birthday.
Oh, wow.
But they made it May 8th, so. Yeah.
Well, we're glad you made it home.
Well, you know, I can tell you a little more if you got time. I don't want.
Well, Jenny, how are we doing?
That.
Should we wrap it up?
Well, let's start a new one. How about
Okay,
that, just
all
in
right.
case?
Well, you know,